Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back. It is exactly 9:36 a.m. and we're now going to be joined by attorney and director at the Women's Legal Center, Seehaam Samaai, and we're going to be talking about something that everybody in South Africa is talking about, and I think there's a bit of confusion, a bit of nervousness, but I should imagine lots of clarity will be given to us by Seehaam Samaai regarding the Divorce Amendment Bill and how it affects nikkah or Muslim marriages. Welcome to the program. Nice to have you here, and I'm hoping you're going to clear up all of the fears, concerns, misunderstandings going forward regarding Muslim marriages, or rather the Divorce Amendment Bill and how it impacts on Muslim marriages.
Shukran again for having the Women's Legal Center. Yes. Firstly, it's now the Amendment Act. It's no longer a bill. Let me start from the beginning. We all know since 1999, we identified various challenges, discrimination faced by Muslim women in our country due to broadly the non-recognition. And so the new legislation or the amendment is a response to the earlier Constitutional Court decision that actually made the Divorce Act as well as the Marriages Act unconstitutional, and 2 years were given to be able to rectify that. And so we all know that the Constitution must continue to be a living document. And so Muslim women under our Constitution continue to face discrimination because, unlike women in the Marriages Act and the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act, as well as even the Civil Unions Act, their marriages lack legal recognition. So upon divorce or upon death, there was no legal recognition. And the challenge was that at the end of the day, the estate cannot be divided properly. And so this meant, like I said before, upon death and divorce, they were left without any rights as other women who could inherit as spouses, apply for maintenance, and receive just and equitable distribution of the estate. And so what the Divorce Act has now done, which we welcome, is that after almost 8 years struggle before the courts, the legislation has now been amended. And remember, this Divorce Act was actually managed by the Department of Justice. So before I get to the other piece of legislation, let us first celebrate what has happened here. So the Constitutional Court in the case declared the continued non-recognition of Muslim marriages as, like I said, it was a violation of the rights of Muslim women. And before the courts in our country in which we sought legal recognition. And so what has happened now is that any Muslim party should go to the normal divorce courts, which is much less in terms of costs, because more time, like what we had to do in the past, was firstly to go to the High Court, which cost a huge amount of money to first get the recognition and then to be able to divorce and ensure there's a just and equitable redress. So this Divorce Act deals with a range of issues. It deals with the contact and care of children. It deals with the redistribution of the estate. It also deals with polygamous marriages and whatever agreements have been made between the parties, it can also be brought before the court. So the signing in of the Divorce Amendment Act is therefore an important step to uphold the Constitutional Court order, and it's one step because there is still another piece of legislation that has to be amended, or which is the Marriages Act. And so
Seehaam,
we can speak.
all right, can I come in here, please, if you don't mind? I am aware because as far back as I don't know how many years, when the Women's Legal Center started with this issue around recognition of Muslim marriages, you and I have had several discussions on different platforms, and you guys have been really hard at work regarding this, the recognition of Muslim marriages. And now comes the Divorce Amendment Bill. For the older generation, and, with due respect to perhaps the more conservative people in our community, they probably view this as not necessary. And with due respect to all of the hard work you guys have put in, but I'm sure you've also already come up against these type of narratives that Muslim women are protected under Sharia. So should firstly, Muslim marriages are out of community of property. It's the antenuptial, basically, loosely speaking, it's like the antenuptial contract. So by the same token, if a Muslim woman gets divorced, she's protected under Sharia law, and she will be well taken care of, because she and the children will be provided for. And you are smiling there. So how do you respond to that?
I'm going to be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. We all know that Sharia protects women. We all know that Sharia protects the children. But at the end of the day, without enforcement and without a actual order, which not the order, without the enforcement rights, we have seen many women on the street, notwithstanding the fact that Sharia protects them all. And since
Absolutely.
1994, since 1999, when we started the first case, why was it necessary for Mrs. Rylands to have gone to court? Why was it necessary for Mrs. Daniels to have gone to court? Why was it necessary that her son had to go to court? And that in itself for me is a challenge. And so we're not saying that Sharia is not protecting. We are saying that the Constitution needs to ensure that there's enforcement. And so if, sadly, for me, and I'm going to say it, if this is because Muslim men did not do their duty in relation to those women. And so it's been more than 30 years. And it's by time that the courts now take the responsibility. You can do your divorce. If your husband gives you what you have to in terms of Sharia, it's not necessary for you to go to court. But at the end of the day, this piece of legislation does not require you to get either proof of a fasak or talak. Why? Because we have seen the ulama take years to be able to ensure that there's a fasak or kula, or even, the husband uses the talak to be able to ensure that women are in perpetual marriage. And so we have seen many challenges over the years. And so the Women's Legal Center is not saying that this is, um, for example, not in terms of Sharia or is in terms of Sharia. The men had to do their duty. That is why we are sitting where we are sitting. And so at the
Okay, so
end of the
simply
day,
put,
yeah,
see, I'm sorry, I'm moving on because we have a time constraint. Simply put, if the men had done right by the women according to Sharia, we wouldn't be in this space. We wouldn't be discussing this situation. So let's move on, because you and I have had many discussions regarding this matter. Let's move on to the second piece of legislation.
the Marriages Act.
Yep.
So let me just say that there are still certain provisions that has to be dealt with. Parliament has served papers on the Women's Legal Centre, the President, and also all the parties that has been part of the Constitutional Court order, requesting, which was last week on Friday, requesting that the marriages bill, that there needs to be an extension up until 2026. And so, what this particular marriages bill will deal with, which Parliament only sent out for public comment, which was literally in December the 13th, I know, because many people go on holiday. by that time. But anyway, we are making submissions. But what that piece of legislation will deal with is the age of marriage. Secondly, it will deal with the nikkah. It will deal with different aspects of marriage. And also, the marriages bill also looks at the unification of all those pieces of legislation, recognition of customary marriages, the Muslim marriages, civil unions, as well as the recognition of customary marriages act, and to be able to bring uniformity in relation to that. And so they are saying that they need another 2 years to be able to amend that marriages bill.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. In closing, what would you like to share with Muslim women tuned in to the show this morning? Very especially those women who are still a bit uncertain, a bit uncomfortable about the Divorce Amendment Bill, and perhaps being misinformed about their situation should they go through a divorce.
Well, I just want to say that if you do have a challenge, you can go to the divorce court, which is free of charge. And if you do need a lawyer, you can. It's reduced, seriously reduced costs, and go and get your divorce. You can do it in terms of the previous. I think it's not 7.3, but there is a provision now in the divorce amendment that allows for just and equitable. Also, the reason for the divorce is irretrievable breakdown of marriage, just like all the other pieces of legislation. And they should go to court and get your divorce. Get your talak, get your fasak, but at the end of the day, if they take too long, go to court and get an equitable redress of your property as well as the custody and contact of children.
Seehaam, Samaai, wonderful talking to you. I'm sorry we don't have more time to dig deeper into these issues, but undoubtedly we will have hopefully some time in the future. Thank you indeed for the hard work you've been involved in for over so many years, and finally you must be so very happy that it has come
We
to
are.
this. Alhamdulillah. Good
Alhamdulillah.
on you. Keep
Good.
up the good work and nice chatting with you. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
9:48 News and Views. 2 more interviews to go. We're going to be talking next with Leon van Wyk. He is the executive mayor of the city of George. Is George a city or a town? I'm not sure. I think it's a town. Regarding the death toll, the building death toll, and casualties that are being reported up to now. So please stay with us.